I'm Alex, a marketing assistant at Smith & Company. I love my job, even if it can be stressful sometimes. Every morning, I rush to the office, hoping I'll make it on time. Today is no different. The bright sun streams through my window, lighting up my small apartment. I quickly grab my coffee and slip on my shoes, checking the clock. I know my boss, Mrs. Lawson, dislikes lateness and has an important meeting today. The stress is climbing, and my heart races. As I step outside, the city buzzes around me. I take a deep breath, determined to face the day, ready to tackle whatever challenges come my way. As I hurried into the office, I could feel the tension creeping in. The clock on the wall ticked loudly, reminding me of every second that I was later than I wanted to be. I took a deep breath and set my things down at my desk. My heart sank when I saw Mrs. Lawson waiting for me. She was talking to Ryan, the intern, flipping through a stack of papers. My stomach twisted as I knew she was annoyed. "Alex, you're late. We have a big presentation today," Mrs. Lawson said in a serious tone, her eyes narrowing. "Can you make sure the slides are ready?" "Of course, I'll get right on it," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady, although I could hear my own heart racing. As I opened my laptop, a wave of fear washed over me. I realized that I hadn't finished the final content for the slides. I had meant to do it last night, but I got caught up in other tasks. Now it felt like a race against time, and the pressure pulled at me. What if I messed up? Would Mrs. Lawson be angry? What if the presentation went badly because of me? I quickly skimmed the notes I had written. My brain felt cluttered, and every word made me second-guess my choices. What if Ryan was right about the graphics? They could use more color, but what if I chose the wrong colors, and it made things worse? Just as I began frantically typing, Karen, my coworker, walked over. "Hey, Alex, are you okay?" she asked with a friendly smile, noticing the frown on my face. "Yeah, I guess," I said, glancing at the clock again. "I'm just stressed about the presentation. I'm not sure I can pull this off." Karen nodded knowingly. "I know the feeling. When I started in this job, I felt like everything was a mess at times. Just focus on what you can do. We're a team, and you're not alone." Her words were comforting, but the heaviness in my chest didn't lift. I realized I needed clarity on what to include in the slides, yet my thoughts were swirling. "Maybe I can help," Karen suggested. She looked genuinely willing to lend a hand. "Let's run through it together. Sometimes just talking about it can clear the fog." I sighed with relief. "Okay, that would be great." As we sat together, I shared my vision and what I wanted the slides to communicate. For each point, I could feel a bit of my confidence returning. Karen nodded along, adding suggestions and reminding me to keep my focus on the audience. "I think they'll love it," she said encouragingly after we finished discussing the slides. "Just remember, they want to hear your ideas, not perfection." With renewed spirit, I got back to work. But just as I began to feel more confident, an email from a customer popped up on my screen. It was a complaint regarding a product. My chest tightened again, thinking about how to respond. I worried I might say the wrong thing. What if my answer upset them more instead of solving the issue? I thought back to the conversation with Karen. "Breathe, Alex. Focus. I can handle this," I whispered to myself. I took a moment to think. I would apologize professionally, offer assurance, and guide them to the next steps. As I typed the response, doubt flickered again. What if it's not good enough? What if they just get angrier? I really don't want that. Then I remembered my main role here was to help, and I wanted to do just that. With my fingers shaking, I hit send, feeling both anxious and hopeful. Whatever came next, I knew I would face it. Before I could catch my breath, another email came in. This time it was from my manager, Mrs. Lawson. She asked me to update her on the presentation details and added that I had until noon. That was only an hour away. My palms grew sweaty as I read her words. The pressure was starting to feel heavy, suffocating even. "Alex, can you finish those slides by 11:30? Mrs. Lawson called through the office, her voice cutting through my racing thoughts. "I need to share them with the team before we meet with the client." "Sure. I'm working on it," I shouted back, though I felt anything but sure. I glanced anxiously at the clock. The minutes were flying, and I had so much to do. My heart raced, feeling like it was about to leap out of my chest. I turned back to the slides, but my mind was all over the place. I could hear Ryan talking in the background, his laughter echoing down the hall with other interns. I felt a bubble of frustration rising within me. Why couldn't he keep his voice down? Couldn't he see I was trying to focus? Suddenly, my computer froze. Panic clawed at my throat as I stared at the screen, frozen in time. I quickly clicked around, hoping for a miracle, but no amount of tapping was fixing the problem. My head felt like it would explode. What if I lost everything? I was drowning in stress, and this was just piling more on top. "Are you okay, Alex?" Karen asked, noticing my distress. She walked over, a concerned look on her face. "No, I'm not," I blurted out before even realizing it. "Everything is going wrong. I can't finish the slides. My computer stopped working, and I need to respond to a customer complaint. I don't think I can handle this challenge. I feel so stuck." "Let's take a breath," she suggested gently. "Have you saved your work? Take a moment to calm down. Remember, you don't have to do this alone. We're a team, and I'm here to help." Listening to her helped ease some of my tension. I realized that panicking wasn't going to fix anything. With a deep breath, I checked my laptop and found that, thankfully, the slides hadn't disappeared. I felt a little spark of hope, even amidst the growing storm of tasks. "I saved the slides, but I don't know if they'll be good enough," I confessed, my voice shaky. "And I still have the email to finish, plus Mrs. Lawson's deadline. What if it all just falls apart?" Karen nodded, understanding my fear. "Why don't you sit down for a moment? Focus on one thing at a time. You're capable, just take it step by step. How about I work with you on the slides while you draft a response to the customer?" Her offer eased my troubled mind. I knew I needed to set aside my worries about perfection. "Okay, let's do it," I replied, steeling myself. We quickly collaborated on revamping the presentation together. With Karen watching and encouraging me, I began to gain control over the chaos. The slides slowly transformed, and I found my rhythm. With every new graphic and every adjusted word, my confidence grew. As I started drafting the reply to the customer, I felt a wave of determination and clarity surfacing. Overcoming my frustrations would only make my work better. I forgot my fear and embraced the challenge. This time, I wouldn't let pressure crush my spirit. I had the support I needed, and I was ready to take charge of the day one step at a time. As the clock ticked closer to 11:30, a sense of urgency filled the room. I finished the slides with Karen's help, my fingers moving swiftly across the keyboard. Each word I typed carried the weight of my hopes. We stood together, side by side, looking over the presentation. I could see that the visuals were engaging, and Karen had helped me refine the messaging. Yet, despite our progress, a nagging voice in the back of my mind whispered, "What if it's not good enough?" Just then, Mrs. Lawson marched into the room, her eyes sweeping across the papers on my desk. "Alex, are you ready?" she asked, the sharp edge of her tones slicing through my focus. My stomach dropped. "We were supposed to be ready by now." "Almost finished," I replied, trying to keep my voice steady. It felt like every word was a battle against the rising fear inside me. I quickly clicked through the slides one last time. "Make sure to show strong data points," Mrs. Lawson reminded me critically, leaning over to glance at my screen. "Yes, I included them," I chirped back, panic seeping into my voice. "Just a moment, please." With each passing second, anxiety clawed at my throat. My previous determination was slipping away. Should I be honest and tell her I was nervous? What if that just added more stress? Couldn't let her down. Karen stepped forward, openly supportive. "We've made great improvements, Mrs. Lawson. I believe Alex is ready, the message is clear. It's just a matter of presenting it confidently." Her words resonated. Confidence. Wasn't that what I needed? But how could I feel it when I was so uncertain? Mrs. Lawson nodded slowly but still scrutinized me. "Get it ready. We're meeting in 5 minutes." I felt the walls of my mind closing in as I faced my deepest fear, presenting in front of the team. Public speaking had always made me anxious, and the thought of mispronouncing a word or losing my place terrified me. The last thing I wanted was to look foolish. I felt the pressure doubling, constraining my chest like a rubber band ready to snap. As I took a moment, the familiar voice of self-doubt echoed in my mind. You'll mess it up. You're not ready. You don't have enough experience. But then I remembered the support I'd felt earlier from Karen. How our teamwork had transformed those chaotic slides into something worth presenting. Something clicked in me. If I let my fear dictate my actions, I would never grow. I had to confront this moment, push through the fear that gripped me. After all, I had worked hard on this project. I could do it. I could make it happen. Okay, I murmured to myself, steeling my resolve. I'm ready. Gathering my work together, I stood up, despite the butterflies in my stomach fluttering wildly. Let's do this, I said firmly, pushing past the uncertainty. That's the spirit. Karen cheered lightly, and I could sense her energy filling my lungs, chasing away the shadows of doubt. With one last deep breath, I walked towards the conference room. I told myself to focus on the slides, on the information, and not on me. I wanted to share ideas, just talk. I wasn't perfect and didn't have all the answers, but I had something meaningful to contribute. Everyone was already assembled as I entered. I could feel their eyes on me, curious and expectant. My heart raced, but this time, it was powered by determination, not fear. This was the moment that could change everything. I took a deep breath before beginning, embracing the challenge ahead. Everything depended on me, and I understood now. I was ready to step up and own that moment. As I stepped into the conference room, the bright light overhead spotlighted me while I settled before my colleagues. The familiar faces of my coworkers greeted me, their expressions a mix of support and curiosity. Mrs. Lawson stood at the back, watching closely. My heart thumped loudly in my chest, but I took a deep breath and reminded myself of the teamwork that had brought me to this moment. I clicked to the first slide, the bold title glowing brightly on the screen. Hello, everyone. Today, I'm excited to share our new marketing strategy. My voice was shaky, but I was determined to push through. I could almost feel the warmth of Karen's encouragement wrapping around me, steadying my nerves. As I continued, I saw a few nods from my coworkers, and encouragement slowly replaced my fear. I spoke about the points I had outlined, emphasizing the strong data Karen and I had crafted together. My voice gained strength with each slide, rising and falling with the rhythm of my thoughts. The earlier panic melted with every nod and smile I received in return. I was no longer talking just to my boss. I was sharing something valuable with a team that cared. Now, let's discuss how these strategies can effectively reach our target audience, I said, feeling my confidence swell. The moment was a small victory over the doubts that had haunted me. As I spoke, I saw Ryan leaning forward, listening intently. Even Mrs. Lawson's serious demeanor softened slightly. They were engaged, and it felt like they were starting to see me not as just the assistant, but as someone who could contribute significant ideas. I could feel a warm flush of accomplishment filling my chest. This was more than just a presentation. It felt like a breakthrough. When I reached the final slide, the room erupted into applause. My heart soared. Every fear of mispronouncing a word or stumbling through a thought faded away in that moment of cheers. My coworkers appreciated my work, and their support washed over me like a wave of relief. Great job, Alex, Karen exclaimed with a big smile, and I met her gaze, soaking in the pride I felt in our teamwork. I realized then that I wasn't alone in my journey. We all had different strengths, and together we made the perfect team. After the presentation, Mrs. Lawson approached me, her expression warm. That was really impressive, Alex. You've grown a lot, and I'm proud of how you handled it today, she said genuinely. Each word filled me with warmth and assurance I hadn't expected to feel so soon. Thank you, Mrs. Lawson. It means a lot, I replied, surprised at how the fear that suffocated me just moments ago had transformed into a flood of encouragement. As we all filed back to our desks, the weight on my shoulders felt lighter. I realized that this experience had taught me something vital. I had believed I was defined by my fears rather than my abilities. pushing through my anxiety had ignited a new belief in myself. I learned that I had a voice worth sharing, and it could indeed make a difference. During lunch, as I sat with my coworkers, the usual chatter felt more vibrant. I shared a laugh with Ryan about his earlier joke in the presentation meeting. The stress I felt that morning melted away, replaced with a new sense of purpose. I knew that from this day forward, I could face challenges with confidence, ready to step up and embrace whatever came next. Later that afternoon, as I settled back at my desk, a wave of relief washed over me. The presentation had gone better than I could have hoped. As I looked at my computer screen, I felt both proud and a bit dazed. I had faced my fears, and it had paid off. I couldn't help but smile. Just then, Karen stopped by my desk with a sparkle in her eyes. "You did amazing today, Alex. I knew you could do it," she exclaimed. Her words warmed my heart. I couldn't help but reflect on how much joy those few moments of support had brought me. "I really appreciate your help. I couldn't have done it without you," I said sincerely. "You put in the hard work," Karen replied, leaning against my desk. "You have so much talent, Alex. You just needed a little push to see that you could shine." Taking a sip of my water, I felt confidence blooming within me. I realized today that I often let my fears control my actions. But pushing through those fears made such a difference. I confessed. It had always been easier to hide behind my insecurities instead of stepping out into the open and showing what I could offer. "Everyone has fears," Karen said, her tone reassuring. "Even the most experienced people feel nervous sometimes. It's how you respond to that fear that matters." Hearing that made me feel like a weight was lifting. I wasn't alone in my struggle. The workplace was full of challenges, but facing them could also lead to personal growth. I thought back to Mrs. Lawson's kind words after the presentation. She had seen potential in me, even when I had only seen my anxiety. Maybe I should talk to Mrs. Lawson sometime. Her guidance could help me keep growing, I said thoughtfully. She might see more in me than I realize. "That's a great idea," Karen encouraged. "You should ask her for feedback on your work. It will help you learn even more." I nodded along, knowing that embracing mentorship could be the vital next step. The thought excited me. Reflecting on the presentation, I recognized how important teamwork was. Being part of a supportive environment made all the difference. At times, I had doubted my capabilities, but learning to trust others had opened doors I hadn't even considered. I could rely on my strengths and build meaningful connections with my colleagues. Throughout the afternoon, I replayed my presentation in my mind. Each minute felt like a powerful lesson learned. I felt accomplished and realized that setbacks don't define a person. It's how they rise from those moments that truly matters. If I could overcome my nerves this time, then I could tackle whatever challenges lay ahead. As the workday came to a close, I packed up my things, feeling lighter than I had in years. I now saw obstacles as opportunities rather than barriers. With every challenge faced, I grew another step closer to who I wanted to become. That experience had been a turning point, bringing clarity to my path forward. With a newfound sense of determination, I smirked to myself as I stepped out of the office. Today was a day of growth, and I was eager for the many more lessons and triumphs yet to come. I felt ready to embrace my journey, step by step, armed with the knowledge that I could rise to any occasion with confidence. The next morning, as I began my day, I felt an exciting sense of anticipation filling the air. My thoughts raced with possibilities. Reflecting on my presentation, I realized I wasn't the same Alex I was before. I had pushed through my fears, and now everything felt different. It was time to apply what I had learned and take charge of my work more confidently. When I entered the office, I noticed Mrs. Lawson already at her desk, reviewing documents. Instead of sneaking past her as I often did when feeling uncertain, I decided to walk over for a brief chat. "Good morning, Mrs. Lawson," I greeted her with enthusiasm. "Good morning, Alex," she responded, looking up with a pleasant smile. "I heard your presentation went well yesterday. You really stood out." "Thank you. I appreciate your feedback. I thought I should discuss some ideas I have for our upcoming campaigns," I said, feeling a spark of determination in my voice. In the past, I might have hesitated to share my thoughts, fearing they were not good enough. But today felt different. I was ready to contribute. As I shared my ideas, discussing new marketing strategies and initiatives, I felt alive. Ideas flowed easily, and I was no longer worried about how I would be perceived. Mrs. Lawson listened carefully and nodded, her interest in my input evident. "These are great ideas, Alex. I'd love to see how you can develop them further," she encouraged. Hearing her words filled me with motivation. Instead of waiting for her to ask for updates, I took the initiative. "I'll work on a plan and send it your way by the end of the week," I promised, my heart racing with excitement. Throughout the week, I embraced this new mindset. I started organizing my thoughts into structures, jotting down plans, and brainstorming new strategies. My desk transformed into a small hub of creativity, littered with notes and colorful markers. Task lists no longer felt like burdens. They became stepping stones toward achieving my goals. During team meetings, I made sure to participate actively. If a new challenge arose, like discussing a difficult customer feedback issue, I no longer shrank back, fearing to speak. Instead, I found myself offering solutions and pitching in ideas. I realized the importance of collaboration and being part of our team's growth. Each suggestion I made felt valid and was met with appreciation from my colleagues. The environment buzzed with positivity, and I discovered I could contribute to that energy. Even when those moments of doubt flickered in my mind, I pushed back against them. I would silently tell myself, "I am capable. My voice matters." This mantra became a gentle guide, reminding me to stay true to the progress I had made. Next to me, Karen often chimed in to reinforce our joint efforts. "We're doing an amazing job together," she'd say encouragingly. I felt grateful for her support, and our camaraderie helped boost my confidence even more. By the end of the week, I was amazed at how far I had come. The once overwhelming sense of pressure diminished, and I embraced challenges with a sense of purpose. I felt empowered, grounded in the knowledge that I could contribute in meaningful ways, regardless of my past reservations. With a clear path ahead, I began to envision my future. I wanted to take on more responsibilities, learn from Mrs. Lawson, and grow into a more significant role within the company. This newfound confidence shifted my mindset completely. Every day, I encountered obstacles with excitement rather than fear, ready to tackle what came my way. I realized that change starts small, but with each step, I was well on my way to building the career I had always dreamed of. As the weeks passed following my presentation, I felt myself thriving in ways I had never imagined. With each new project that came my way, I embraced it with a smile instead of dread. The unfamiliarity of challenges became exciting opportunities for growth, and I often found myself thinking about everything I had learned during my journey. One sunny Friday afternoon, our team gathered for an open discussion meeting, sharing progress on various tasks and brainstorming fresh ideas for upcoming projects. I realized how much more engaged I was as I took the lead in part of the discussion. Gone were the days of simply waiting for others to speak up first. I raised my hand, offering input on strategies we could consider to improve our social media presence. My confidence flowed as I shared my thoughts, and I felt a wave of support from my coworkers. "Great ideas, Alex," Karen said, beaming with pride. Everyone nodded in agreement, their enthusiasm palpable. I felt a warm glow inside, a sense of belonging in our team's dynamic. This shift in my role solidified a profound change in my mindset. I was no longer just an assistant. I was a valuable contributor. In the back of my mind, I knew that there would still be challenges ahead, but I now looked forward to them rather than fearing them. My self-doubt didn't magically disappear, but I had learned how to manage it. I framed it not as a restriction but as a reminder that I was growing, a part of my journey rather than a hindrance to it. One day, Mrs. Lawson called for a quick one-on-one meeting to discuss my recent contributions. My heart raced with both excitement and anxiety. Had I done well enough? Sitting nervously before her, however, I reminded myself of the progress I had made. I was stronger than I once thought. "Alex," Mrs. Lawson started, "I wanted to commend you for your proactive approach and teamwork these past few weeks. Your ideas have sparked conversations that have energized our entire marketing team." She leaned back, a satisfied look crossing her face. I see potential for you to take on more leadership in projects. The thrill of her words filled me with joy. I had arrived. Thank you, Mrs. Lawson. I'm eager to grow and learn. I love contributing more to our team, I replied, my voice steady and filled with determination. She nodded approvingly, providing constructive feedback that would help shape my development further. As I left her office, I felt lighter, as if a weight had been lifted. For the first time, I envisioned taking on roles beyond my initial function. Maybe I would even initiate team-building events or workshops to share our ideas and encourage collaboration within the office. My thoughts raced about the vibrant possibilities that lay ahead. With each passing day, optimism began to fill my veins. I planned to seek out training opportunities, both within and outside the office. Whether it was attending workshops on communication skills or reading books on effective leadership, I wanted to keep my momentum strong. The connection among my colleagues grew deeper, which reinforced my sense of family in the workplace. Celebrations seemed more joyful. Sharing successes, both big and small, became a routine part of our days. Each time I received praise or an encouraging word from my team, I felt myself blossoming more into who I was meant to be. As I looked back on my journey, I reflected on how far I had come. From stifled anxiety to newfound confidence, this was only the beginning. Each challenge I faced was a stepping stone leading to progress. I embraced the idea that lessons learned from setbacks would shape me, giving me the tools to continue evolving. With my head high and a heart full of hope, I stepped into the future, ready to turn each moment into an opportunity for growth. I had faith that wherever this journey would take me, I would have the courage to face it all, not merely as Alex the assistant, but as Alex the empowered team member striving to achieve even more.